Good morning, Wabash. Our speaker today first came to Wabash in the year 2000. She's in her 10th year of serving the college as the Senior Administrative Assistant to the Dean of Students. She was initiated as an honorary member of the Sphinx Club in March of 2003, and her son graduated from Wabash in 1994. With a chapel talk entitled A View from My Small Window in Center Hall, please give a warm welcome to Miss Sherry Ross.
I can do it now. Good morning, Wabash.
Good morning, Sherry.
I would like to thank the Sphinx Club for inviting me to speak today, and it is really great to have Wally here. I tell Wally he is one of my favorite men, second to my husband. Seeing Wally reminds me of a surprise visit he made to Center Hall for my 50th birthday and surprised me at the office. I was so excited to see him, and I went to give him a hug. Then I heard him say, "Happy birthday." I knew that Wally really didn't talk, and the voice, it sounded very familiar. It turned out to be my husband, who dressed up as Wally. It was a great surprise that I'll never forget. I also want to thank Will Hoffman, Daniel King, and Cliff Koshin, who insisted this would be the best way for me to overcome one of my biggest fears, public speaking. Wow. I really can't believe I'm speaking at the chapel, a place I dearly love and one of Wabash's special traditions, and to an audience I truly respect. As I slowly convinced myself I could do this, I then wondered, what on earth would I have to say? One piece of advice stood out from Jim Amadon. He suggested I speak on something I'm passionate about and something that would come from the heart. I do have a passion for Wabash, its traditions, its students, faculty, and staff. My husband and I both have a love of Wabash sports, especially when we beat DePaul or a conference rival like Wittenberg. So I thought maybe I could speak on the perspectives I have of Wabash from my small window in Center Hall. First of all, I grew up in Crawfordsville, and after working at Wabash, I have learned that makes me a townie. Living in Crawfordsville, I have always known of Wabash and many of its alums, like Will Hayes, Dick Ristine, Dick Tully, Greg Miller, Dr. Keith Baird, John Horner, and Bob Rogers, who I would always see at football and basketball games. I had friends whose parents worked here, like the legendary Vic Powell and President Seymour, and I had always held a high regard for them and the reputation of Wabash College. I worked for 20 years at one of the local banks in town, National City Bank, which used to be Elston Bank. The Elston family had a great history with the college and had donated their home on West Pike Street to Wabash, and that, of course, is where President White and many previous presidents have resided. While at Elston Bank, I worked with Ruth Parrish, whose husband was one of the great football coaches of Wabash, Stan Parrish, now the head football coach at Ball State University. I would hear her talk of some of the great players like Pete Metzelaars and Darrell Johnson, who played here from 1978 until 1981. In the fall of 1981, my husband and I went with some friends to our first Wabash football game. We stood on the sidelines and had a wonderful time. We were then hooked. We became faithful little Giant fans. It was so much fun bringing our kids to the games, watching how hard the young men played, and the atmosphere of the Wabash Stadium. We haven't missed many football games since. We then got hooked on Wabash basketball and saw the same passion and how hard the guys would play, much better than watching professional basketball. I'm also very proud to say I'm a parent of a Wabash alum, Derek Stout, class of 1994. I was so impressed to see how he matured at Wabash, how he worked very hard to keep up with the challenging academics of being a biology major. He pledged at the Fiji fraternity, joined the Glee Club, and played football. That's when we really became die-hard Wabash football fans. I now see from working here that he really took advantage of what Wabash has to offer. That is the best way to get the full potential from it, to immerse yourself in the opportunities and meet the great people who are part of the Wabash community. He met lifelong friends through his fraternity and football, and he had a wonderful opportunity to travel with the Glee Club to Hawaii, Australia, and New Zealand. Wow, the opportunities the students have here to travel are tremendous and life-changing. My son went to work after graduation for Edward Jones and is now a manager with American Funds. I was a Wabash parent and a big fan of Wabash sports, but never did I think I would have an opportunity to work at this great place. The bank I worked for had gotten bought out twice, and after National City became the owner, there were some downsizing and reorganization. They were replacing the bank president I worked for with a regional manager, so I knew there could be some changes with my job. There were, and I then went to work for our local hospital administration and had the opportunity to work there as they were being sold to become St. Clair Medical Center. After being there for a little over a year, I happened to see a job opening at Wabash for the secretary to the Dean of Students. I got an interview with Dean Bambry, and we had a great conversation about Wabash. I met the other ladies in the office and then kept my fingers crossed. Well, when I got the call from Dean Bambry in May of 2000 that I had been hired, I was ecstatic. I couldn't wait to begin and work with the students of Wabash. I want to take this moment to publicly thank Dean Bambry for hiring me and being a great mentor and friend. I have learned so much from him. He and his wife, Rosalie, they have a great love of Wabash, and I find myself gravitating to those type of people who truly love Wabash. There were many things Dean Bambry has contributed during his time as Dean of Students, and some lesser-known things that I was impressed by was his attention to the details of getting the Allen Center built for finding the best materials to use in the outdoor and indoor tracks, or making sure we had the best version of our mascot, Wally, when he was redesigned a few years ago. However, my best perspective of Dean Bambry from being in Center Hall was to see how he educated students about the gentleman's rule and his way of making disciplinary decisions to be an educational experience. I've also learned about Dean Bambry's universal rules, which are: 1, 5% of people cause 95% of the problems. 2, just when you think it's taken care of, it isn't. 3, everyone thinks you have money, but you just don't want to give it to them. And 4, what most people think is a crisis is not. It was great to see that Dean Bambry had a sense of humor. He used to say that the dean's office is officially in favor of fun. Not that he would always participate, but he was in favor of it. One inside secret I can tell on him is that he is a great joke teller. You should ask him to tell you his duck joke. And he has contributed to the fun furry animal collection we have in the office. I don't know if you've ever noticed Slouch, the puppet in our office, but that was a contribution by Dean Bambry, and he has a great rendition he does with it. He would say that when someone complains about the dean's office, which is hardly ever, we would use Slouch for the unofficial reaction. The puppet has a somewhat whiny tone that goes like this. Dean Bambry is so serious most of the time, so it was fun for me to see him do his slouch routine. He would sometimes show us online some Froggy the Gremlin video clips he had seen as a kid. My best recollection of Froggy the Gremlin is, "Hiya, hiya, hiya, kids," or, "I'm sorry, I'll never do it again." I know that was bad. Another not very known secret of the dean's office is what the ladies are up to around 4 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. It started during a slow week in the summer when the former administrative assistant to the dean of the college, Nancy Kashan, and I found the chicken dance music online. We both had an impromptu moment to liven up the silence of that afternoon and turned the music up. We then stood up and began to see if we remembered the moves to do the chicken dance. It wasn't long until we had Mrs. Goff and the ladies from the registrar's office joining in. We decided this would be a fun tradition to start at the end of the work week, and we continued this for many months. And it is now a sometime thing we do upon request. Which leads me to Dean Raiders. When Dean Raiders was hired as the Associate Dean of Students, we told him that it was a tradition for the new person in the office to do the chicken dance with us. After much grumbling, he joined in. I'm not sure we will ever see him dance again. But he did join in on the fun, and he hasn't trusted anything I have told him since. We did the same thing to Dean Prisco, so he now has been initiated by the Dean's Office chicken dance. After a great opportunity to work for Dean Bambry, who is now the director of Wabash Athletics, I currently have the pleasure of working for our new Dean of Students, Mike Raiders. He has a great wife, Julie, and a wonderful family. One of the many things I admire about Dean Raiders is the love for his family and Wabash. His job keeps him very busy, but he always makes time for family, community, and church. His family is very involved, but they make time to attend many Wabash activities as well. I'm amazed how much Dean Raiders can accomplish for Wabash in a day and still manage to go to his 3 children's activities or coach his son's baseball team during the summer. He works hard, and I have learned so much from him through all the challenges he had to deal with last year during his first year as the Dean of Students. I don't know how he kept his cool through it all, but I've seen how hard he fought for Wabash and our students. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Dean Raiders for keeping me as his administrative assistant and for his continued commitment to Wabash. Speaking of working hard, that seems to be a theme at Wabash, and especially of what I see in Center Hall. I believe Dean Phillips, the dean of the college, and President White exemplify the meaning of working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They work very hard on behalf of our faculty, staff, and students. Those around them, such as Dean Olson, Dean Hughes, Chris Duff, and Carolyn Goff, work feverishly to assist and keep up with them. Another thing I see from both Dean Phillips and President White is that each has a sense of humor and a love for students. As busy as they are, I'll see Dean Phillips take time to have a conversation with one of his advisees, or President White stop to give a compliment to our student worker, Cody Lamont, on some one-handed catch he had during a football game. These are some of the many things that have made an impression on me from my vantage point in the Dean of Students office. But I must say, getting to know the students has been the best part of my job. I'm amazed how busy the students are and how hard you work. Wabash is so challenging, but you all seem to learn how to juggle it while still being so involved in extra activities such as theater, music, athletics, club sports, being leaders in your living units, and volunteering in the Crawfordsville community. Some of you do all of this and maintain jobs too. It's very impressive. This is why I think there is hope that the world will continue to improve, because of the Wabash men whom are out there now making a difference, and because of the students whom I see here now. Wabash men really do make a positive difference in the world, whether in government, as doctors, lawyers, managers in businesses, starting their own businesses, teachers, coaches, or leading at the college they love. Wabash men do stand out, not only in their occupations, but also being great men in your communities and within your families. It's a privilege to get to know you and to see how you grow and you learn and lead at Wabash. Another perspective I've had was to see great men of Wabash who worked in Center Hall. Wabash legends such as President Ford and religion professor Dr. Bill Plaker. They were so modest and down to earth for being the great visionaries they were, and the major accomplishments they had. These gentlemen really loved Wabash. I've been so lucky to get to know these men and others who have worked in Center Hall, such as former deans of the college, Maury Ditzler and Raymond Williams. I have seen the passion for Wabash and their work to keep it a leading institution for academics and learning. I see that same passion in President White and the many faculty and staff who get involved to support our students in and out of the classroom. I love seeing faculty like Professors Herring, Blix, Herzog, Benedicts, and many others who keep their doors open to our students and are there for an encouraging word or to help students through a challenging situation. We have many faculty and staff who really care about students and want to make sure they succeed at Wabash and life. These are just a few examples of the things I see at Wabash, but some of the greatest views I have are the simple ones. I start out the workday driving to campus, pulling into the mall from Wabash Avenue, and what do I see? One of the greatest views on campus, the Pioneer Chapel. It never gets mundane to see it, and I always thank God for the blessing of starting with that view each workday. It has a striking beauty in every season, in all types of weather. I also love the pictures that are put on the Wabash website by Steve Charles and Tom Runge and Kim Johnson, so anyone can share the beauty of campus during the first vibrant fall colors or a blanket of new snow. There are many staff members, such as Dave Morgan and our campus services staff, and our groundskeeper, Tim Riley, and his staff, who put great effort into maintaining the campus grounds and decorating it during the holidays and making it come to life with beautiful blooms in the spring and for graduation. I really appreciate these people of Wabash who work hard and that add to my view of campus from my window in Center Hall. In closing, I would like to thank all of those who work so hard and care about educating and helping the students of Wabash. I am truly blessed to have the chance to get to know you and some of what goes into making Wabash a great place. I have great memories that will last forever, and each day here is another chance to add to those memories. I would like to encourage our students to be aware of the memories you are making at Wabash and seize each moment to remember them so you can take them with you wherever you go after graduating. I hear alums talk about their times here and how fast the 4 years go. As you prepare to go into the workplace and the hectic pace of everyday life, be sure to look for the great moments here, some times of laughter, or sharing a conversation with a favorite professor or a classmate, or a favorite view of campus. I hope you will take the opportunity to stop and say hello to those around you and let them know you appreciate their hard work in giving you the best education possible and the best place to get it, Wabash College. It's a great place, and I have a wonderful view of it all from my small window in Center Hall. Thank you.